Hello, everyone. Welcome. Hope you're doing well today. Thanks so much for being here with me today. Well, I don't know if you've seen it. I don't know if you have been paying attention, but there's always these little things in the details that give more insight. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today. How Meghan talked about how she is one of the most bullied women in the world, but yet right before our eyes, she did something to bully the royal family. Most people would not have caught it, but a lot of you have. But that's what I'm going to talk about today here briefly today, just showing you yet again the decline of Harry and Meghan, because it's happening as well before our eyes. We can see it. And then also how Meghan is trying to say one thing to get her reputation to be more profiled in a more sympathetic way, but also she just can't help herself. She cannot help herself because she continues to bully other people. And that's what we're talking about today, all right? So let's get into it. Woo! The change is real, folks. Now, one of the most important things that you have to see happening is you have to see how Harry and Meghan are being pushed out of Hollywood elite. Non-association. Take your butt back to the United Kingdom. You can see how they're not able to be associated with the elites. And one prime example of this, because there's many, but the one that's most obvious is the one that happened with George and Amal Clooney when they hosted the Albie's charity event. Everyone who was anyone, A-listers that are associated with philanthropic work, who are close relation to Amal and George Clooney, was there. It was held in New York City right around the time when Harry was in New York, because Jimmy Fallon was there with George and Amal Clooney. Harry was on Jimmy Fallon's show, and this was around the same time. It was the next day. So it just shows you that they're not in the same circles as even who Harry was trying to, I think, be associated with Jimmy Fallon to get out there publicly, because Jimmy Fallon is close with George and Amal Clooney. So the Abby Awards, and what they do is they shine a light on people who are doing incredible work around justice and protecting people who have been victims of certain injustices. And so this work is very meaningful to Amal, considering she's an attorney. She is very high up internationally, globally. I think Meghan wants to be like an Amal Clooney. Harry and Meghan invited George and Amal Clooney to their wedding, but they're no longer in the circles of George and Amal Clooney. George and Amal have iced Harry and Meghan out, and Harry is trying to salvage his reputation by still doing philanthropic work. But he's no longer in these high-profile circles because of what they've done. They've done so much damage to their reputation by bad-mouthing the royals and these cheap shots that they do to make them seem like they are A-list, and they're not. And people are starting to take notice, which I think is wonderful, because it really hits home to what Harry and Meghan, or more specifically Meghan, is going to have to do. She is ruining her reputation. It's almost like she's going back to trying to be an A-lister with no credentials, making all these cheap shots at trying to make herself relevant, but not realizing you married into royalty. You don't have to do these things. You just are playing the cards so wrong, and we watch it happen before our eyes. And so that right there is showing you that they're no longer aligned in purpose. They're no longer aligned in a way that's going to sustain the marriage. Professionally, they have split up. The behind the scenes of the relationship has already started to decline. That's already happened, okay? Now, this is what has happened in terms of Meghan bullying other people, because you have what has happened with the A-listers, which has given us evidence of this relationship falling apart professionally. But now you look at what Meghan is doing, and she's trying to still once again play the victim, because when she went to this Girls Inc. event and she showed up and she talked about how she is one of the most bullied persons in the world. And during an interview with Vanity Fair, Larissa May, who is the co-founder and advocacy group working with Girls Inc., said that Meghan opened up about being one of the most bullied people in the world. The claim was also just shut down on GB News by Chloe Dobbs, who I think said it best. This is just the most pathetic thing that has come out of her mouth. Tell this to kids who get beat up over and over again and who are bullied by parents in abusive households. And that's the thing. Meghan, to say that she is a bullied person it's almost like you don't have a right to say you're bullied, because people are critical of you. You're not bullied. People are critical. And to consider what people have done to you being critical is bullying, that's a slap in the face to the children who are really bullied in the world, who come from these horrible households, who have parents who do real things that have real detrimental consequences to these children. And Meghan is trying to make herself relatable, or to make people feel like they should feel sorry for her. But she is not a bullied person. She is a very privileged person who is highly criticized for her actions. There is a difference. And this is how Meghan actually bullies. She bullies in a way that's very calculating. But unless you really follow it, you won't know or see how she bullies people. Because this is what she did. We all remember when William and Catherine came out and they spoke at Southport to the families who were victims of that knife attack. Well, Meghan, the following day, wanted to overshadow the Prince and Princess of Wales by doing something to put herself in the headlines. Because this event was on Wednesday, October 2nd. When Meghan went to Girls Inc. and she participated in this event. Now look what happens after this event happens on October 2nd. October 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and then on the 10th, Catherine and William come out. It's the first time that Catherine is really coming out in a more public way to start working and to come out with her husband and to do some great work, to talk about and to visit the families and the first responders about what happened. So Meghan had in her arsenal since October 2nd something that she did not want to put out into the public yet. Because this news about her going to Girls Inc. did not come out until the next day after William and Catherine had their event. And you start seeing all these photos of Meghan at this Girls Inc. event. And the event actually happened on October 2nd. Okay? But what I find interesting, the fact that she waited to really publicly have that information about attending this Girls Inc. event come out until like a week later to overshadow William and Catherine. This is what comes out in People magazine, because she knows people can see what she has done. Okay, but People magazine comes out because we know Meghan works closely with People magazine. They came out and said this to more align why the pictures came out on October 11th. The day after William and Catherine, so that she could make an excuse. It's like all this like plotting and planning, and you got the calendar, and they're out. Let me pull out something that I've done so that I can release something to overshadow them. And this is what People magazine is now saying to align more with why they came out later with those photos. The partnership was announced on October 11th, which doubles as International Day of the Girl. And they talk about how the partnership aligns with this event where Meghan went to see these girls. So they didn't want to put it out until later. I find that coincidental. And the whole article is about October 11th, talking about, well, why it was released or why they're showing this on October 11th, talking about it's the International Day of the Girl. And then Meghan visits a Girls Inc. nearby her home in Montecito, California, ahead of the October 11th announcement. It's like this constant October 11th, trying to show that although this happened prior, we wanted to bring it out on this day. And I think that is just an excuse to try to make you seem like you are really doing something after William and Catherine for legitimate reasons. But they did this event on October 2nd. And they should have come out and talked about it on October 2nd. And they could have just mentioned it again on October 11th in a way that was just talking about the event happening earlier this month. But she didn't want the initial photos to even be seen. Like, there was no way that you were holding on to all of this information and waiting until Catherine and William come out to release it, because it happens all the time. And this is how Meghan bullies people. Bullies the royal family, because she is trying to overshadow them. And one of the biggest things about being in the royal household is that you all work together to make sure when you release something, when you announce something, when you go do something, it doesn't overshadow another member of the royal family, something Harry and Meghan know quite too well. But they're using this to their advantage so that they can overshadow the real royals, because they're still bullying them in real time. And to go in front of these girls who are really being bullied and talk about how you're bullied, you're one of the most bullied people in the world, is a shutdown to the girls who are really being bullied and who have real problems to overcome. Because Meghan doesn't have problems to overcome. She's got problems in her head she needs to overcome with trying to stop overshadowing other people, because she is still bullying these people. But unless you really watch it and know what is happening, you would not know that. And this is what Meghan is counting on, because she knows she's at the end of her rope professionally. Not being invited to the Amal and George Clooney's charity event, not being invited to other celebrity events that are happening all the time. Because if they were, we would see the photos, and we don't see the photos. Because you know why? Because it's not happening, folks. And Harry and Meghan, they're saying, are split up professionally, but at the same time, Harry is preparing himself to try to get some of his credibility back by doing all of these different outings and visiting other charities, while Meghan is back in Hollywood just trying to be someone in the Hollywood elite. And it's not going to work. Because people are watching. That's the elite of Hollywood are watching, and they want nothing to do with her. And so what does she have to do now? She goes around and she perpetrates fraud-like assistance to all these different charities to act as if she is there to support them. When in reality, she's not there to support the people of these charities. She's there to help her career and to help bring highlight to what she is doing on the backs of the people who are suffering, or the people who are using these services from these different charities. Meghan is using that to highlight herself. And if that is not bullying the people who are a part of these organizations getting assistance, I don't know what it is that's bullying. Because the way she's trying to claim being bullied, that is nothing but a perpetration and a fraud.